There's a kind of meditation that I've been practicing a bunch recently that I kind of invented. Discovered. Discovered is more accurate than invented. Um, it happened to me first spontaneously a couple of years ago. I just had a really long, challenging day, and I had an important conversation, and I'd sent an important message about that conversation, and then all of that was taken care of, and then I decided to just go for a little walk before I went to bed. And on that walk, I had this experience of utter release, this experience of like, wow, I have nothing to do right now. I'm just walking. And the feeling, it was so striking. It made me cry. Like, I was just so touched by this experience of having nothing I needed to do. It was all in, the other people's hands. It was in God's hands. It was all in the future. All I needed to do in that moment was rest. And that was so incredibly peaceful. And recently I've started noticing what it feels like to be doing something, and then what it feels like to end that something. And I've been creating just a little bit more extra space for the end of the thing, when I arrive at the, I've been traveling a bunch, so it's like when I get out of the subway station, it's like rather than kind of immediately walking towards where I think I need to go, I kind of I pause and I go, okay, I'm here. I'm not at my final destination, but I've completed this subway ride. Now what? And I kind of rest, and sometimes I notice I've got my backpack on in a slightly uncomfortable way or something else, and I allow myself that moment of peace, that moment of rest. And likewise, if I'm doing something at my computer and then I finish it, I create some space of like, okay, I've done that. Now what? I could do anything. And this experience of creating this little moment of space between one thing and the next has been really beautiful. And what do I want to say about that? Well, I'll just do it here in this moment right now. I'm just letting myself have said everything that I've said so far. Asking myself, not even asking is the wrong word. I'm allowing for whatever else wants to be said to arise. And as I've engaged with this, I've noticed that there's a way in which the best verb that I can describe as an instruction for what I'm doing. I could say let go, I could say release, I could say relax or rest. But oddly enough, the closest verb that I found for this is simply die. Now it's not kill. There's no killing of anything. Killing has a subject and an object. Even if you're killing yourself, there's still a making of yourself an object that you're killing. To simply die is to utterly release. And there's a way in which it's like, right now I'm walking, and I could kind of do this dying thing. I'm also recording this video, although the video keeps going in the absence of any action of mine, but I'm holding my arm up. But all of those are also sort of just happening. Like I'm not doing walking right now. The walking is occurring, and I've forgotten that I'm holding a package in my left hand. That's also simply happening, just as my breath is happening and my heartbeat is happening, although those are a little bit more automatic. And so as I let go of any intent the things that are on autopilot continue on autopilot. And I'm suddenly free, profoundly free. And then sometimes I notice there's something else I want to do. And I've been experimenting with letting that thing happen, allowing it to happen, allowing the autopilotness. I don't quite like the word autopilot, but the systems in me that know how to do that thing, allowing them to simply do it, and remaining in my intentionality, remaining in this state of not doing anything, not intending anything, just letting happen what wants to happen, and continuing to rest, continuing to utterly rest. I'm noticing these little thoughts bubble up about what if the video is boring. If it's boring, you can leave. I'm not per se here to be interesting, although I also kind of am. I'm here to be as interesting as I will be, but insofar as I'm not interesting, I'm not investing myself in solving that as a problem. No. I am keeping you, the watcher, in mind as I'm saying what I might say. I am imagining this from your perspective, somewhat. Not in great detail. I don't know what your perspective is. It has a lot of particulars that can't be known to me because, of course, you are multitudinous and watching this in many different times and places and as many different people. I have the sense that what I'm pointing at right now is connected to some teachings, among them Tilopa's 6 words, which I don't know if I can recall exactly, but they go something like, one translation by Ken MacLeod is, don't recall, don't fantasize, don't think, don't examine, don't something else. I forget what the 5th one is. Relax right now and rest. But what's neat is like, I'm getting more of a taste of like how I don't have to inhibit any of those things. I can simply step back from them, or something like that. It's like they're going to happen. That bird sounded very weird. They're going to happen, and but I can be kind of, I guess one phrase that the Dzogchen folks use for this, at least the Aro Buddhist folks, is I can sort of remain uninvolved with them. I can remain uninvolved with what it is that I'm doing. The doing is its own happening or something. Except when I can't. I mean, I don't really. I'm still learning how to do this, and there's also, I guess, one of the things I've been exploring is something like, okay, there are levels of sort of like finite game that, like, in order to play them well, I do actually kind of need to like sort of get invested in them currently. Like I need to kind of allow myself to get lost in them and sort of forget about the infinite game for a while. But then once I've sort of finished whatever that arc is, won or failed or gotten stuck at that finite game, I can kind of come back to, okay, now what? And yeah, so that's oh, right. And I guess maybe part of the puzzle is something like how complex of stuff can I simply allow to happen? So it's like, if I take a moment and die, I just noticed my face was sort of not fully in the frame, and I kind of wanted it to be, and so I moved it back to like get it in the frame, and I was sort of aiming to do that aiming to let that do itself, rather than doing it myself or something. I have some sense that all of this relates to the brain hemispheres somehow. And in the background of all of this, I've also been holding perceptual control theory as somehow deeply relevant. It's sort of like the control systems they're just controlling, and like as long as the existing control systems kind of know how to handle the situation, then I can kind of just let them do that. And I guess they require a minimum, like, that's interesting. It's like I can't autopilot multiple things at the same time because I'm bottlenecked on something, but the something is not consciousness. Like trivially, I can't autopilot like swim and autopilot take a nap at the same time. Or take a nap is a weird thing to autopilot anyway, but like autopilot, climb a tree. I can't swim and climb a tree at the same time, even though I could kind of do both of those on autopilot, or I could do either of them on autopilot. And that's because like they have conflicting needs for like the state that my body is in. And then I think there are other things that sort of have conflicting needs for the use of, like, I can listen to a podcast while climbing a tree, or I can like be thinking about something while swimming. But I can't necessarily like be thinking about something while listening to a podcast, and that's because like swimming and climbing a tree have different needs for my body. Like those have different needs for certain parts of my mind or something like that, like the part of my mind that handles linear verbal whatevers, like, can only be employed by kind of one thing at once. But like, that's not me still, or something. I'm not entirely sure what I am. I've also gone into a bunch of speculation here. Part of me sort of feels like this should be multiple videos or something, but I continue to not particularly want to edit these videos, so I am just going to post it as it is. Oh, maybe there's a way to edit it on YouTube. I could like post it and like edit the first half off of one of them and edit the second half off the other, but I don't know. And then, right, so a different practice. So like one practice is like die. When I do that right now, I notice I'm still holding slightly extra tension. One thing to do is kind of like die, let go, and then like see what impulses arise and allow them to be followed, but see if you can remain uninvolved while following them. Another way to do it is more like kind of quiet seated meditation of like die, and then, you know, impulses arise, and then one kind of inhibits or like doesn't follow them or something. One holds an intention to remain seated or just remain walking without you know, stopping to look at something or something like that. So I'm experimenting with all this. I don't really know what I'm doing, but something seems to be working. I feel more peaceful and more able to listen to myself. Like earlier today, I noticed what was happening. Oh yeah, I was intending to take care of something I needed to take care of, which was booking a hotel room for the night. And I was instead scrolling something on the internet. And I noticed like this part of me being like, hey, wait, what about the things, or something like that. And so then I backed out of it. But it's like when I used to try to back out of it before, it's like I was doing it way too forcefully. And the thing that's cool about the new approach that I have here is like I don't need to. There's sort of nothing to force. There's just the letting go. Like I have found the letting go thing. And I guess to speculate a little bit about the hemispheres thing, it seems possible to me that what's going on is that that kind of letting go sort of feels to the left hemisphere like dying, and that's why the word die arises as a descriptor of what I'm of the act that I'm performing. That's kind of my speculation on it. That would appear to make a kind of sense, and that would jive with something like ego death. I'm very curious to what extent instructions can be made out of the thing that I'm doing here. In some ways, it seems very straightforward, but it's pointing at a mental motion, and those are notoriously hard to pinpoint, right? It might be that somebody needs to somehow have an experience like the one I had in order to access it. And then there's still the question of like, why did it take me 2 years to like turn, like at the time I remember I started trying to write out a meditation based on that, but it got kind of bogged down in minutia. So anyway, so I'm going to explore making some guided meditations for this, or something like that. Probably starting with doing some live meditations with people so that like I can, you know, get feedback from them of like whether or not I've successfully pointed at the thing. Because there's something I find really satisfyingly direct about it. It's like you're just doing it. You're just letting go. And there's no importantly, and this connects to, you know, everything from like Michael Ashcroft's stuff about expanding awareness and Alexander technique, and like connects to various other like Buddhist instructions and so forth. Importantly, you're not trying to stay dead in a certain sense. Like, you are simply dying in each moment. So it's like you and that is in fact part of what makes it fundamentally a letting go. If I was trying to force myself to remain in some kind of state, that would actually be not letting go anymore. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it here. This has been long. There will be more videos about this. Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess last thing I want to say is, like, if you have watched this entire video, or I guess if you have jumped to the end from whatever other point, I want to invite you to notice how when this video ends, there's a kind of like, oh, what now? There's a kind of infinite possibility, and you know, you could, if you have YouTube autoplay turned on, it might be that if you do nothing, in 10 seconds you'll get another video. In either case, it might be that within 10 seconds you find yourself jumping off to something else. But I'll invite you to notice that something just kind of releases at the moment that this video